Yeah, well, when you come off a game like we did Saturday, I think the best thing that you can do is play another game, and that's what we get to do. Going to be a little bit of a rough tread, and we're probably going to bust down today. I guess the weather's supposed to be really bad, so we'll be going back to our Division Two roots, and we'll bust down and bust back. But it'll give us a good chance to get back on track. You have a game like that where a team shoots really well and you don't play as well, and you got to remind yourself that it's only one game. Got 8 games left, and we plan on playing all 8 games, hopefully a lot better than we did. As far as Purdue goes, they too, we had a tough game with them here, one that we led all but the last, minute or so, and get beat at the buzzer. It was a tough loss for us then. Matt's done a good job with his team. I think he's, always been one of the best coaches in this league. They've kind of balanced some young guys with some old guys, and of course, Travion Williams is a stud, and he's been a stud since he's been there. He keeps getting better and better. He's been a double-double machine, and has played well against us, having a phenomenal second half the last game. So, be honest with you, we practiced yesterday. We practiced pretty well. We're looking forward to having a good one today and then jumping on a bus, getting out of here. As far as Rocket's concerned, he's gone through the 2 days. He has tested negative. He is sick. He's got the flu, I guess. So he hasn't practiced at all. I mean, it took till yesterday to get the proper protocol that they were following, like we did with Kith here. Whether he'll practice today, I don't know, but he is available for the game, which is good news. As far as anything else, as you saw, Foster Lawyer, I've had a few people ask me, his shoulder on his left shoulder is, I don't know if it popped out, but he damaged it at Nebraska a couple weeks ago, and then he really hurt it against Penn State. And, he's didn't practice either, but is questionable for the game. So other than that, we've got our players, we got our coaches, and we're going to go play the game.
We'll start with questions in the chat, please. And the first question will go to Lindsay Huddleston.
Hi, Tom. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I don't know if you actually signaled this to us at the beginning of the season when you were talking about the fans, but the Izzo and the Cameron Crazies, that double-edged sword that comes with success. And now that you don't have that, and then you talk about players that don't have the energy all the time, going back to what you talked about at the beginning of the season to now, can you talk about the impact of fans even more so now than the beginning of the season?
Well, Lindsay, I think fans are definitely important everywhere. And, we're going to a place where they're important. Duke, it was important. I've always thought, you could take the same 2 games and play one at home on a Monday and one on the road on a Wednesday, and you could have 5, 6, 7 point difference as far as the gamblers look at it. Home court advantage is big. Home court advantage is really big for us because we've been sold out with the Izzo, and it's been so good over the years. But it's good everywhere. But the funny thing is sometimes guys get motivated playing on the road in front of fans. When there's no fans, it's difficult at times, but everybody handles it. It's the same for everybody, so there's no excuses. But it is different, and it is something that I don't think has helped us in a couple of these games. I don't think if Magic was playing the other day, it would have helped us the way the game went. But I'd say there are a couple other games that you'd hope to win at home, and I'm sure other teams feel the same. I mean, it is the same for everybody, but we do have definitely one of the better home court advantages year in, year out.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll go next to Crystal Laurie.
Hey Tom, I noticed with Foster and with Rocket out, you did go to a little bit with Langford running the offense down the stretch. I mean, if they're both out, is that? I mean, when you're running low on guards at that point, what kind of options do you have of running the offense?
Well, first of all, I do think both will be able to play. How much or what, I don't know that. But, I look back to, and, AJ, played pretty well against them last time. But the reason I looked at Josh or even Aaron, I was reminded of, early on we went with a Chris Hill at the point who was a two guard. And, we just have to change our package up, but it gives us some ability. It gives us maybe another guy like Gabe to play on the wing, and we could go with a little bigger lineup and maybe a little better shooting than we've been shooting. So it's definitely in the game plan that we could use it. I don't think we'll start out that way, but tomorrow we'll kind of tell in a couple different ways. But AJ is is ready to play, and he played pretty well against him last time.
For a guy like AJ, if he does have to play more minutes, I mean, what's his ceiling right now in terms of minutes?
I'd say I think he played 25 or 6 last game. I mean, as you know, he's lost some weight over this season. He's really done a better job of trying to keep himself in great shape. So I think he can. Now, Purdue, on the other hand, throws a lot of people at you. They're playing a lot of people usually, and especially at the guards. They're playing 5 and 6 guards all the time. So, that could be a factor. But if we have to go, if those guys can't play much and we have to go to Aaron or Josh, I think both of them handled it pretty well the other day. We just might have to change our break in that a little bit. But other than that, I think that'll be no excuse.
We'll go next to Max Charlotte.
I'm too worried about, and I don't know, you guys try not to pay attention to it and, take game by game, but do you feel like the guys are feeling that pressure of seeing how many games are left, how many games you think you have to win to be at a certain point? Do they start thinking about that? Does it affect them in a game when things start going bad and maybe they start thinking, now, man, here we go again? And
Yeah, I mean, I think if you be realistic about it, everybody knows when it gets to be February on what kind of games you got to win, and it's a little. There's some discrepancy this year because I don't know. As I said, there's so many things that can happen in the next 3 weeks. None more evident than maybe a team gets COVID or some individual players do. You're kind of living day by day, game by game. And so I don't know if it's as easy to predict who could be in the tournament, what are the magical numbers, who's going to play the right amount of games. There's so many variables. So I try to address it that, hey, we got to get better every game and we got to win games. But not like some years where you can say you got to win 18, you got to win 19, you got to, we don't even play as many games this year. But I'm just saying we haven't addressed it in that respect. But they're human. They listen to, Twitter. They know what's out there. They know that they've got to win games. And I don't think that's undue pressure on them because I think when you come here, you understand it. Now having one of those seasons where you're in jeopardy of that, of course it probably affects them a little more, but I don't think they say during a game, oh, here we go again. I think that was an ambush the other day, and as we look back on the tape, I think 5 of their first 7 threes were shots with guys shooting 20-some% from the 3. Give McCaffrey credit, he hits 4 out of 6. Give Murray credit, he hits 2 out of 2. That hasn't been the norm, and consequently, all of a sudden you get 18 points worth of threes in the first half that maybe you didn't have when you played them there. That's a huge difference, and we didn't overcome it. So, but I don't think on a day-to-day basis that would have any effect on the game. I think it has effect on the overall pressure. Sure it does. And that's the same at Duke and Kentucky and Carolina and everywhere else that has had long runs in the tournament.
And when it comes to Purdue specifically, obviously when you guys played it before, you played pretty well defensively for most of that game. What are some of those positives you can kind of take into this?
Well, we actually played pretty well offensively the first half of the game. We really did. The ball was moving. We're making shots. I thought they did a pretty good job second half, but I thought we did a poor job. We turned it over more in the second half, and they were some unforced turnovers. We did not shoot the ball very well the second half, and probably some of it was their defense, but some of it was our offense. And there were some incredible calls and plays at, the last 4 minutes of that game, and you win a game like that. I mean, we did have a 5-6 point lead late. It does change some things. This is one of those years where we didn't win a game like that. So we've won our share of them over the years, but I think there are some positive things we could take out of it. And one is how we defended. We fouled a little bit too much inside, but as I say, there's always choices you make. Do you try to take away Travion? Do you try to take away Garza? Do you can't give up threes? Purdue's been like us at times where they're not shooting the ball great from the three either at times, but they've had some games when they have shot the ball well. And Sasha's been out. I mean, he's played in the last 2 games, hasn't scored a bucket. He's is their best shooter. Now he's got a couple weeks under his belt after the COVID, because he was the one guy that had it. I expect to see him playing better and better. The kid Ivy has really stepped up in his absence, and he's going to be a good player there. He's just kind of getting his own feet under him, and I think he's done a very good job.
Go next to Con Wilson.
Yeah, I'm wondering when you look back at Iowa, how you thought you guys did against Luca in that game, and is there any positives to kind of take going forward now that it's like big?
It wasn't like we just double teamed them with everybody. I mean, there were some, there was a couple of plays that, yes, we did give McCaffrey some shots, the same shots we gave him at Purdue. I thought we did a decent job on Garza, but I don't think it's because we threw everybody at him. I think, our guys did a decent job. He has a couple of tendencies. I thought we did all right taking those away. He missed some of those shots inside. But he's a good passer, and Williams is a phenomenal passer. I mean, Williams has point guard passing skills. He really does. He's maybe the best center passer in the country, if you ask me, from what I've seen. I mean, he can throw him behind his head. He can throw him behind his back. He can throw him straight forward. He has very good vision and very, very good feel for the game. So guarding him will be a little different. Plus, he's quicker. His quick steps. He's got quicker steps. But we can look at some of the things we did, and we'll definitely build off that because we did do a decent job on Garza.
Go next to Justin Rose.
Going back to the pressure that Matt had kind of brought up, how much from a coaching perspective can you try to tinker with things to try to find that change that you're looking for to get things going, or have you kind of exhausted a lot of those opportunities this far into the season?
Well, probably most people think I've over-tinkered. What you do with a team is you kind of hope that in the preseason you get guys to separate themselves. And as we know, there wasn't as much of that. So got a lot of guys that haven't separated, and I have tried to give each one of them a chance. And it's hard to live with things if they're making the same mistakes. And some of those mistakes are going to be because of youth or inexperience, and some of those mistakes are going to be mistakes. So there's still some things we can tinker with. We do think, with Josh and Aaron, we've got 2 very good wings, and we've just got to do a little bit better job. We were getting something out of Joey and Malik there, and we think the 4 spot we still can get a lot out of. The center has been by rotation, and the point guard has been a little bit of a up and down deal. So now we might be forced into just sticking with somebody or looking at maybe playing a little bit different way. But it's not like we're tinkering to try to, you can say, well, players maybe don't have as good a feel. Well, their job is to play to a level where they separate themselves in practice or not. If that doesn't happen, then you're caught tinkering a little bit more than you'd like. Unlike football, a quarterback is a separate position, and even though I like to call a point guard like a quarterback, it still is separate. And, you see people having to do that with receivers or running backs. It's just the way it is sometimes. And I haven't had many years when it's been like this, but I haven't had many years where I had guys sitting out or Josh not playing for 2 years or situations that trying to change guys in different positions, and we were stuck with that for one reason or another. But I still say, we've shown where we could play good enough basketball where we could be in with those teams. Purdue's one of them, Wisconsin's one of them, Duke's one of them, even though they've struggled some. Notre Dame, I saw one last night. Those are not bad basketball teams. And yet we've had a couple of games where I thought it's been out-of-body experiences. And definitely the one the other night was more caused by incredible shooting. I thought our one at Minnesota was more caused by incredible turnovers.
If I may follow, this is probably a better question for a golf course at a charity outing in July, but how important is the NCAA streak to you?
What I learned from older coaches, I just talked to Coach Katie today, and streaks are important, but as I've heard a lot of pro players talk about, records are made to be broken. I mean, of course the streak is important to me because it's something special. This streak of the every senior going to a Final Four was special, and when that ended with one of my favorite teams, Gary Harris and Adrian and Brandon Dawson and Keith and those teams back then, Denzel, that was a tough streak too. But there's a lot of basketball left, and one thing I think about this year is I don't know what it's going to take to get in because I don't know who's going to be left standing. It seems like it's gone back and forth between men and women. Now, though, I see some women's programs, North Carolina State, Louisville, that are getting shut down, and there hasn't been as many men's programs recently. Is that going to change? I don't know. But there's so many factors that we have no control of. We're just going to keep trying to win as many games as we can and play better and get better. I mean, we got to play better at Purdue, and so that's kind of the goal right now. Every streak here, since the day I came here, means something to me. Every win means something to me. But I don't look at success or failure on streaks. I look at consistency over years.
Go next to Paul from the Only Colors.
Hi, Tom. If I look at the shooting numbers over the year, clearly it's down kind of across the board. And we know that these players can shoot because they've done it in the past. So do you have any theories as to what's been happening this year? Is it just the year in general, or are you seeing that in practice?
I feel bad for Foster because in his case, he is a good shooter, shooting 20-some%, and yet he's, it's been 5 weeks that he hurt that thing the first time, and I think that has some factor. But I think if you look across the board, when you say across the board, not just our board, there's a lot of teams struggling with shooting the ball this year, and I think some of it is just everything they're all going through. I don't know. You're right. I mean, Josh Langford, is he not shooting as well? I mean, he was a 41% three-point shooter for his career, but you missed 2 years, and is that a factor? I'm trying to think of other guys. I mean, Gabe Brown was out for the 20 days, 17 days, so him getting back and getting his feet wet again. I mean, I think that's a factor, and then Joey Hauser and Malik are two guys that I think shot very well early, and then haven't shot as well. But I still think they're still really good shooters. So some of it's confidence, some of it's the situation, some of it is what all these guys are going through. I mean, it's when you lose, it compounds it too. You lose some games, and it compounds the problems that they're dealing with every day in their life. If you win it, hopefully, makes you feel better than the rest of what's going on in your life. So that's the only excuse I can give that I think is as valid as I can give it.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Go next to Chris Laurie.
I kind of wondered, you mentioned on the pregame show that you were kind of expecting maybe 4-game weeks here coming up. I guess with the other Indiana game and the Michigan game, I think those are the two that you don't have scheduled out yet, I guess.
Illinois looks like it's going to be scheduled next week, but I haven't gotten it.
They announced that, I think.
Oh, they did. Okay, because
Yeah.
you'd know before me. I just know we're going to play a lot of games, but yeah, those games. I was surprised. I thought we were going to have another one this week, but remember, it's got to be worked out with both parties. I mean, I talked to Fred Hoiberg last night, for example, and they win a big game at Penn State, and they flew right to Maryland, and they're going to play back-to-back games at Maryland. They're going to play both of them there. I still see that happening somewhere, sometime, for more than a couple teams. It just depends.
That happened with Indiana is kind of the one that I think is out there right now. Or
Well, I don't think it'll happen with Indiana because we played them Saturday, and we've already got a game scheduled for Tuesday. I don't think they'd go Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday. But you know what? To be honest with you, Chris, I've accepted at the beginning of the year on a board I was on. They said, there are going to be no rules, and I said, well, that's like our country. But there are going to be no rules, and I think right now you got to accept whatever they come up with if you want to play the games, and that's kind of the mentality I have. But I'm not in control. But KP has something to do with it. But as I said, the biggest problem is you got to have both teams have availability, and I know that sometimes is a problem.
And that kind of, when you mentioned KP, I mean, there is that collapsible week, I think, in between your Maryland game and the Michigan game. I guess, how do you think the job that he did in terms of maybe helping build in those extra weeks in between to try and balance these out?
Yeah, that was brilliant, and I mean we were involved in that too. To be honest with you, I mean that's why I wanted to play on Christmas. That's why we played, I think, 3 or 4 games in December. It was to try to do that. Now, one of the weeks we had with a long period, a 7-day break, is when we were on COVID. So that really hurt us in that respect, except we didn't lose out on even more games. Instead of 3 or 4, it could have been 5 or 6. So I think he did a brilliant job of trying to deal with the circumstances. And yet, there's going to be some teams here that, are going to be in the tough situations just with how many games you're going to have to play if we try to get them in. I just stuck with the theory I'd rather try to get them all in than take a break or something, and that's kind of where we're going. So if they tell me we're playing 3 games in 5 nights, that's what we'll do.
We have time for a couple more questions. We'll go first to Audrey Dahlgren.
Hi, Tom. After the game on Saturday, Joshua mentioned something that was kind of interesting in a sense that he thought the scouting report was good, but the majority of the games in the Big Ten come down to X's and O's, or not X's and O's, but they're effort related.
Yeah.
And so how do you, I guess at this point in the season, try to help that, or is this something at this point of the year that you shouldn't have to coach effort?
Well, I don't know if it was effort as much as execution of it. For example, we weren't giving anybody any shots. I mean, we were going to be off of McCaffrey because that's what we did, but we were not going to be off of Keon Murray, and so we didn't execute some of those things right. But I think then as they hit all those shots, you're going to go down a little bit. I mean that's realism, and I don't know if it was Chris whoever asked, but then you get in the COVID part of it, and I don't think these kids are as mentally tough, right now. I don't think any are. And if things are going your way, it's one way. If things aren't, and that sounds like such a simplistic way to say it, and I don't mean that we don't have control of it, but I just don't think people realize what they've been through either. So, as I said, I try to judge it on how they come to practice or how they are, and I haven't seen any letdowns in that respect. I was disappointed in some of our effort. I was disappointed in some of our execution of game plans. But any game plan, we would have still gave McCaffrey those shots and he hits 4 threes, that's 12 points. You get 3 of them in the first half, that's 10 extra points, and you wonder why you're down 17 at halftime. There's a good reason. So, no excuse, just I think, we need to get a little bit more effort all the time, but I think guys do get down when you start going down, and that's my job to pick them up. So we're going to have to do a better job from a coaching standpoint, much more as a player standpoint.
And then just a quick follow-up with Gabe. I mean, how is he somebody that I guess can keep the positive attitude up? Because obviously he made a huge difference when he came in the game on Saturday. But I mean, just in terms of him in general, his attitude and his approach, how can he maybe be a player that can help in that aspect?
Well, as you know, Gabe's an energy giver. Some guys are energy takers, and he's an energy giver. He's got a kind of a vibrant part of his game. He spends so much time in here that the game, everybody on the team knows how much the game matters to Gabe. And so I think he can be a big positive. That's why if I look at even going with a bigger lineup, I could do some things. But remember, we couldn't do much more with Gabe because he had missed all that time. And then he comes back, and it takes a couple games. And, Josh had a big game, his second game, and then a couple more games. So you don't know what you're going to get out of him. I know it won't be a lack of effort. I know how much it matters to him. But him scoring the ball and making some shots, as you say, is very uplifting for all of us, just because we struggle with making shots. But, again, I don't have a lot of problem. I thought, Josh had some pretty good shots. I thought Foster Lawyer had some great looks in that game, and he's as good a shooter as I got. So some of it is, some days the ball doesn't go in the basket, but some of it, if it's a lack of effort, totally I'd be very concerned with. I don't really see that, and I'd be as honest as I could be with you, but I was disappointed in a couple people's consistency of effort, but I was more disappointed in some of the execution and far as what we were supposed to do and what we did do.
Safe travels. Have fun on the bus. Thanks.
Northern Michigan, baby. It's it'll be 3-4 hours less than those rides at Northern Michigan.
We'll wrap it up with one from Fred Human.
Can you hear me, Max?
Yes, we can, Fred.
Hey, Tom, I'm not dead yet, so you already
Me neither.
Well, part of my question, you've had so many adjustments last part, and here's another one, you're adjusting to, rather than us talking about you winning another conference title or being a 4-3, 2 or 1 seed, we're talking about you having to make a hell of a run here just to make the tournament, and you don't have a team that you've been used to having for, well, at least 23 years or so, so what kind of adjustment is this for you as a coach to adapt to this?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and you can tell by the bags under my eyes. Not that sleeping's been a good thing. First of all, I'm glad to see you healthy again, Fred. So God bless you on that. But I would say that, you're not totally right. Of those 23 years, I told you, we were 12-9. Just a couple years ago with a very good team when we lost all those players to injuries and found a way. But I would say for the most part, you're correct. It hasn't been something I look at every year. My job is with 2 weeks left, keep us in the hunt. And, we're not in that hunt. That's realism. But, you know what? I just want to get us playing better. And, and I think the other thing, besides all the other issues, we just learned that, the worst team in our league, they had lost 25 games in a row, had Illinois beat the other day, and that was Illinois 6th in the league, or 6th in the country, and beat a good Penn State team at home last night. And I think it really talks about how good the conference is top to bottom. So when you're trying to get well, it'll be interesting to see how many teams they take at the end. But when you're trying to get well in this conference, there were some times there were 3 or 4 teams and you were playing most of them twice. That's 7-8 wins you were going to get. I don't think many people are counting any wins this year. And so it is a different year, but you know what it does is it brings you back to reality a little bit. We all need a reality check, both fans, media, and coaches for sure. And, you know, little things like, you know, we talked about the last Purdue game, maybe a free throw cutout, maybe an inbounds pass, maybe the coach could have done a better job. So it makes you kind of look back on little things that could make a difference. And sometimes that's a cruel thing to go through, but it's a good thing to go through because everybody gets fat and sassy. And I'm hoping it didn't happen to me, but if it did, it's going to be a good wake-up call. And at the same time, I'm not trying to put everything on, you know, it's been such a bizarre year. You know, I stay up at night more trying to figure out how to motivate guys than just to motivate them. And that's never happened here, but circumstances are different. You got to be a little more careful what you're doing. And, you know, I'm ready to accept that I got to fight my tail off the last 8 games. I told you a few weeks ago, Miles said that in his freshman year here because of what we went through. It just hasn't been the norm here, and that's a good thing. And I'm going to keep looking at it as a good thing and try to get it done.
That's all we have for you today.
All right, guys, thanks.